Darnold threw for over 300 yards and ran for 2 rushing touchdowns in the Panthers' 24-9 win over the Texans last night. The former Jets quarterback now has Carolina sitting at 3-0 and is doing a good job revitalizing his career from a disappointing run in New York after the 3rd overall pick in 2018, a draft class that was headlined by #1 overall pick Baker Mayfield. Now, Shannon, at the time, you were big on Darnold as the best QB in that draft, and Skip was big on Baker. So have you guys changed your mind?
I have not. I like what I saw. As you saw last night, Skip, it wasn't solely his fault because he's not in the Jets, and the Jets are still struggling. I believe it shows you when you put talent around a player, you give him competent coaching and somewhat blocking. Now, his offensive line is still challenged in Carolina, but nothing like it was at the Jets. This kid can play, Skip, and I'm not saying he's going to be Mahomes. I'm not saying he's going to be Tom Brady or one of these historically great quarterbacks, but I'm saying he's a competent quarterback. They made it seem like the kid was a bust, and I'm saying he's not a bust. He doesn't have any talent. You take all of his talented players and you let Robbie Anderson walk out the door. He doesn't have any talent. Now you look what he has around him. That kid, DJ Moore, can play. Robbie Anderson is there. Terrence Marshall Jr., out of LSU, who the offensive coordinator knew firsthand.
Good
pick.
The
tight end.
Yep.
Now they got Christian McCaffrey, even though he got nicked up, Skip. They got pieces around him, so he doesn't feel like he has to do everything. And Matt Rule is a very good offensive mind. He seems to be well on his way to being a very good head coach.
And by the way, their defense is serious.
Yes, their defense.
Yeah.
I'm going to hold out on that, Skip.
Okay,
because
but the pass rush is legit. It's just they got 2 stud rushers.
The Texans and I think, who else did they beat the Texans? So
Jacksonville.
Skip, so you know.
And they caught Jameis by surprise and just annihilated him, just turned him inside out.
They beat his offensive line up too, Skip.
Did.
So with that, when you look at what Baker has around him, Sam Darnold, the entire while he was in New York, he had 0 Pro Bowlers and Adam Gase as his head coach. Baker's had 7 selections. Jarvis has 2, Batonio has 3, Chubb has 2. So, Skip, if you surround him now, they also gave him OBJ. They also added Kareem Hunt. They also gave him Austin Hooper. The best offensive line in football, an outstanding defense to back him up. So when you give Sam Darnold that, Baker has always had more talent than this kid. You go back to Oklahoma and look at the talent around him and go to USC and look at the talent around Sam Darnold. So for me, Skip, I think he's acquitted himself. I'm not ready to say they're a playoff team, but I think he's showing people that if you surround a young player with talent and you give him time, Skip, he can be well. So don't give up on these young quarterbacks that's out there now, Skip. We look at Lawrence and we look at Wilson and we look at some of these others. They're like, no, you got to give them some talent and you got to put an offensive line around them or they're going to get the hell beat out of them and they're going to look bad. But I like this kid. I like what I saw last night, and I believe he's well on his way.
Okay. Let's start at the sort of bottom, so to speak, of the quarterbacks picked.
Okay.
There was this kid named Lamar Jackson.
Yes.
At Louisville.
Oh, well, Lamar.
Okay. I'm just going to just to throw him out.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about these
I didn't see him coming.
Yeah, no, nobody saw that.
I watched him against Deshaun at Clemson, and he fell apart at the end of the game, and I was like, I don't know. I'm just not sure. Can he stay healthy? Because listen, running wise, and he was a pinpoint accurate passer.
Right.
But he didn't seem to have his big arm. That now he's got a big arm to me, plenty enough arm.
Right.
Okay, so nobody saw exactly that. Maybe Ozzie did, as in Ozzie Newsome.
Yeah, clearly he saw
your personnel director, who's now sort of graduated upstairs.
Yeah. He got a big office.
Okay, so we know about Lamar, but I'm going to put him in context here. You have had your issues with him.
Right.
Can you be consistently accurate throwing the football? Can you win games throwing the football?
Right.
You've been unsure about it at certain stages.
I have, but I would still take Lamar over Baker.
Okay,
I made that clear.
But let's be clear about what Lamar's done. In the postseason, he is 1-3, and the 3 were stinkers, right? Against Mahomes, he is now 1-3 because he lost the first 3 badly.
Right.
Okay, so the point is, at the highest levels, he hasn't been great yet. I thought he was great the other night because I don't know how they came back and won that game, and yet they wouldn't have won that game if Edwards-Helaire had not gotten stripped with 1 minute and 29 seconds left, because the game was about to be way over.
Well, think about what your guy had. Your guy had him down 22-10. Baker had Patrick Mahomes down 22-10.
He did.
They came back and won.
Okay.
Patrick Mahomes had Lamar down by 11, and then that guy came back and won.
And also, before I get to my man Baker, Josh Allen has been very good, better than I thought he would be.
Yes.
I'm still not completely sold. I need to see him at the highest level.
Right.
We'll see. He's gotten to pretty high levels.
Yeah, he got the championship game last year.
And yet, in that game, he wasn't very good. Now, back to Baker. I continue to tell you that down the stretch last year, over the last 11 games, he went from his progressive commercials, which I was calling regressive commercials, to growing up before your very eyes.
Right.
Was it a coincidence that Odell was gone? He got hurt at Cincinnati, and that stretch happened, that 8-3 run happened with no Odell. Was Baker a little too Odell-centric, a little too Odell-conscious, a little too hung up on, I got to get him involved? Again, he loves him off the field. They're friends. And did that hurt his distribution of the football? Did he hold the ball too long trying to get it to Odell? I say yes. But over that stretch, he was 20 touchdowns to only 3 interceptions. And over that stretch, your favorite website, Pro Football Focus, graded him the 4th best quarterback in pro football behind your man Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun, and my man Brady. 4th in that stretch. I thought he was sensational. They beat Pittsburgh at Pittsburgh. And then you know the rest of the story. They went to Kansas City, and you said, well, he should have risen up. He had, on any given Sunday, he had him in the game late and couldn't overcome that even. Okay, so I got that. But my gut tells me that Baker will prove to be the best in this draft class, and I'm not going to back off that because as well as Sam Darnold has played so far, and I give you new cast of characters that's much better than the supporting cast in New York. I give you that.
Okay.
But I can't give you Jacksonville. And again, Jameis just unraveled. Like that was as bad as I've ever seen Jameis play, including the bad games at Tampa, because they got shell-shocked. They weren't ready for it, and it was an onslaught. And so I'm not sure that was about Sam Darnold, although he played very well. And then last night, there's no Tyrod Taylor on the other. It's Davis Mills, and he kind of hung in and did the best he could, but he was under fire the whole night.
But Skip, even if those guys were out and he was with the Jets, they still would have. They normally lose games like this because I don't think the talent around him and the competency of the coaching staff was in place to help him.
Okay, I give you that. Gut feeling on your man, Sam Darnold, and everybody's man, because most people, the consensus was he should have gone first in the draft, right? That's all I ever heard. And I think a lot of people are rooting for him in the analytics business because they put their reputations on the line and they're saying, aha, now you're seeing what he should have been if he'd gone to a better team. Okay, what do I see from him even last night against the Texans? He never looks comfortable to me in the pocket.
With that offensive line, he shouldn't be.
All right, but again, he doesn't have natural pocket poise. He never seems completely in command. Even when he had time to throw, he's helter-skelter to me. His body language is a little nervous to me. And he made some great throws last night. He made a couple of third down throws where I said, that's big time.
Yeah, well, Skip, he missed a couple of throws early on.
He did.
He thought it was cover 2, and it was quarters coverage. The safety was closer, and it wasn't split safeties. They were hash safeties, and he missed it. And then they came right back and ran a similar play, and it's 2 deep perfect. He should have hit the tight end, and he didn't.
He didn't. These are the most troubling spots to me beyond what you just detailed. I've always said that even at USC, when I watched him a lot, he was a mistake maker. He would turn the ball over when you least expected it. 5:47 last night in the second quarter. They're up 7-0, only 7-0. And at the Carolina 29, he got rocked. And he lost the football. And he was lucky that his center fell on the football because if he doesn't, they're going to have the ball at Carolina's 29 with a very short field. Okay? And here comes the second one. 19 seconds left in the half at his own 28-yard line. He gets stripped again. He gets stripped. He does not see eyeside pass rusher and gets stripped, and his center recovers it again and saves the day, or they would have had a short field goal at the end of the half. The score at that point was only 7-6 Carolina.
But if you notice, Skip, the difference is you see how he has the ball holding down here, and what they teach you is to hold the ball here.
Okay.
And that's something that he's going to, I'm sure Matt Rule is going to stress that with him when they reconvene, probably on Monday. He's like, I'm going to need you to, Skip, you got to protect. You got to protect the ball.
Okay, I got it. But what I'm saying is They were very fortunate that they dodged those two bullets because the game was in Houston.
Right.
And the crowd's not real into the home team because they got the Deshaun cloud hanging over the franchise.
Right.
And Tyrod can't play. And you got a rookie from Stanford, third rounder, playing who's got some ability, but he was a little over his head last night.
Well, Skip, it's hard to evaluate him when the offensive line then he goes back and as soon as he takes his last step. I mean, he taking shots like that. I'm not so sure some of those shots would have been targeted in college.
But if they could have taken it home on a short field at 7-0 and tied it, the crowd's going to get in the game.
Right.
And if they could have cashed in a late field goal in the second quarter, who knows? They could have gone to half with some kind of lead.
Right.
Well, then maybe the crowd really gets into the game and an upset is brewing. He put them in harm's way. And sometimes, as you know, fumbles, like I talked about the Zach Martin recovery at Chargers, sometimes it's just lucky bounce or unlucky bounce, right? Does your offensive line suddenly see the live grenade under their feet and fall on the football?
Right.
Center fell back on the football twice and saved it, or we could have been having a very different conversation.
Yes.
That's what scares me the most about Sam Darnold.
But you have to admit, Skip, he looks different in Carolina than he did with the Jets. You have to concede that. He looks like a competent quarterback with talent and coaching.
I got it. But as Troy Aikman kept pointing out last night, it will be very interesting to gauge his progress a week from Sunday at Jerry World against my Cowboys.